Today, I'm going to talk to you about how to win at interviewing. I have been super excited this week because I have three simultaneous clients who have been interviewing for some months, and now they're at the final stage where they're juggling multiple offers, and we're chatting and on text and on email just multiple times a day today, and it's so exciting. But I wanted to back up a little bit because I talk to a lot of people about interviewing, and many people are trying to figure out, oh my gosh, this is such a huge process to start interviewing. I got to put my resume together. I got to figure out what stories I want to tell. And if you're a designer, a product person, someone in tech, there's the notion of how do I put together my portfolio, my case studies, showing the detailed design, showing the work that I've done to present this in the best light. And many people think about this and they think, oh, this is going to be so much work. I don't have time to do this. If you're lucky enough to have a job, I don't have time to do my full-time job as well as interviewing. And then finally, I think there's this little niggling feeling of, I don't want to put myself up out there to be judged. Why would I set myself up for this? This is a test. This is a series of hurdles. Am I going to be worthy of the people who are there on the other side? So I think there's this big hurdle of, am I ready to start interviewing? And I think the challenge that most people make is that all of these hurdles feel so big, so much that they're not willing to start interviewing until something happens, until you hit the last straw, until your boss said something and you're like, I'm out, until this difficult coworker insulted you for the last time, until you got passed over from that promotion, until you were told that, hey, your bonus isn't really going to hit that, until you see other people around you get that promotion. And that is the last straw. And that's often when people actively start interviewing. And I want to say that I work with a lot of people in tech, and we are so damn lucky. I live in San Francisco. I have a community of tech people. I'm a designer. We are very, very lucky and entitled to have these skills that are in high demand. And that's the context of which I'm speaking. So I wanted to share 4 things that really help in the interviewing process and how to win and have fun and be playful in the interviewing process, because that's something that people don't think about a lot. People don't think about the ease and how would it be easy in interviewing. So the first thing is really to go deep down and be like, what is it that I really want? Why am I interviewing? What is the yearning that's driving me to kind of go put myself out there? So there's a whole bunch of things. It could be, one, I'm dissatisfied with my current job. And there's a whole bunch of angles around that. It could be, I'm not getting the recognition I want. My managers and peers are not seeing, they're seeing a delta between who I think I am and what they think I am. And typically we think we're better than the ways that other people see us. And part of it is like, all right, if you want a place where you get the right recognition, that's great. That's a good thing to want and know. Yet the other thing to think about is, well, is this a common pattern? Has this pattern been following me around from job to job? And if so, what is it that I could do around it? So that's one example. Maybe you want more recognition. Another example is, oh my gosh, maybe you're in some toxic environments. Maybe the culture is toxic. Maybe it's unsustainable for how much you have to work. Maybe your boss is toxic and not supporting you. And perhaps then what you really want is a supportive boss, a good culture, a workplace maybe where you believe in the mission of the company more. So these are examples of what you might want. And then a third category, which I hear and feel pretty commonly with people, is I'm not learning anymore. I've hit the cap of my learning and growth at this particular place. Other people are learning, and that's great and fine. But for me, I'm not learning anymore. And that could be a lack of variety. It could be not getting the opportunities. It could be just a bunch of different things. There's 3 examples that I've heard, common examples that I've heard that come up when you start to ask yourself what you really want. So if you're kind of thinking, hey, I'm going to start interviewing, I'm going to start working on it, the second area and tip I want to talk about is really interview for learning. So many of the times when I talk to people, they're hesitant to start interviewing because it feels really black and white. They're only going to interview because I want a new job. And then there's tons of barriers to put on in your own way. I'm not ready to interview because my life is really busy and I don't have the time and energy to start a new job because we're about to go on summer vacation. We are working on a house. We are going to move. That's a very black and white form of thinking. I'm interviewing solely to get this job and move out of my current job. Instead, consider, what if the interview process was part of a learning and growth process? What if, back to that first question, you didn't actually know what you really wanted, which is okay. Then what you're doing is you're interviewing to learn. You're interviewing to figure out, all right, I know my current work. Now I can explore a bunch of different other workplaces. What would it be like to work for a large, big name brand, top tier technology company? What would that be like? What would it be like to work for a small startup? What would it be like to be part of a founder team where there's just 2 or 3 of us? What would it be like to work at a place that might go public the next year? I don't think you really know all of this. And through starting to interview and having conversations, you get data and learning and being like, oh, that's what it's like to be a product manager there. That's what it's like to run sales or do recruiting at this type of place. And as you start to interview, you get learnings too. Who are the type of people I want to be around? What's the type of sense of teamness that really invigorates me? Who do I want in my boss? Does this place feel aggressive and competitive and direct? Or does it feel, hey, chill and supportive, giving me time to do whatever else I want? Interview for learning, not necessarily to get the job. And also, the best time to interview is really when you don't need a job. Interview for learning helps you gather data points about what you like or don't like. If you get offers, it also gives you data points about like the value pegged in the market of what you're worth. Third thing to think about, so often when we're interviewing, we're like, oh, will they like me? Will they judge me and see if I'm worthy of working at their company? But really, that's not the case. And again, I speak from this place of abundance where I understand tech, I understand the tech industry, and we're very, very lucky. And from this place of abundance, which I also think can be extrapolated to many other industries, think of interviewing as a dating process. You're not only putting yourself out there to be judged and evaluated by them, but you also need to ask the question, are they worthy of you? What's the fit? If you work there, how does it match your values? If it works there, if you work there, does it match the things that are important to you? What about work-life balance? What about hours? What about what you want to learn? What about relationships to the people you want? What about the type of work you want to do? What about what you're going to be doing day to day in your working hours? Will this fit you? And are they worthy of you spending the majority of your waking hours at this particular place for 40, 50, 60 hours a week? So the last part, and I'll try and spend not too much time here, but the other way to really win at interviewing is understanding and knowing your worth. And when you're at the place where you're lucky enough to have an offer really come in to get what you're worth. I go back to the point that the best time to interview isn't when you need a job. One of my dear friends and colleagues, I used to laugh at him, but I realize now how brilliant he was. He was constantly interviewing. I think every several months, maybe every 5 to 6 months, he would ask me to do a reference check for him, a reference call for him. And this happened over a period of, I don't know, I want to say 6, 7, 8 years. And he never took any of those jobs. But he got himself out there and he learned what he was worth. He learned about all these companies. He was able to interview for learning. And when he was finally ready to make his move and be like, yes, I want to move to this company, he had so much data points. Part of negotiation that we talk about is that, mostly we think about the bulk of it. What's our base salary going to be? What's our equity and stock going to be? And again, I speak from the context of tech. What's the starting bonus going to be? What's a bonus structure going to be? Is it going to be a bonus based on your performance or the company's performance? That's kind of the biggest part of negotiation, and I'll stick with that area because there's lots of other parts. But my friend who had been interviewing his entire time, he was leveling the playing field. Typically, the company has all the power in a negotiation. The recruiting or hiring manager may have made offers to tens, if not hundreds of people. They have all the data. They know what the market rate is. They know who's likely to say yes and on what. What my friend did was level the playing field a little bit by continuing to interview and getting these offers, by pulling back the curtain that says we're not allowed to talk about how much we make. That's a weird, uncomfortable topic. And he was able to start gathering the data and build up the case to know and understand what he was worth. All right. This was today's brief live on how to win at interviewing. 4 things to remember. Ask yourself what you really want. Interview for learning. Think of it as you're not just being put on judgment. Also ask, are they worthy of you? And then finally, as part of the negotiation process, know your worth so you can get what you're worth. That's it for today. An article will follow soon, and I will talk to you next week. Bye for now.